you have learned so much. You have grown so much in such a short time.
God has me on the fast forward track, yes, but it's really just it's a love and a passion to know Him. I mean, really, it's all about relationship. It's about knowing the Creator of the universe, and what a joy it is to know Him. What an honor it is to know Him.
I'm going to quote you.
Okay.
Instead of possessing versatile treasures for myself, I should strive to be a versatile treasure for God.
To God, sure. I think one of the scripture verses that's coming to mind right now is in Philippians chapter 2, and when Paul tells us that we need to work out our salvation. And we can't obviously work for our salvation. There's nothing we can do to earn it, but work it out. Give God a good return on His investment. I mean, I was useful to God before 9/11, but He had to make me versatile. He had to make me more useful. And sometimes, there are different things that God has to do in our lives in order to make us more useful to Him.
My weary Bible here, with this wonderful, you talk about 1 Peter chapter 1. This is you. This is your journey. Actually, this represents your trilogy, isn't it? The whole journey, all 3 books.
Yeah.
1 Peter chapter 1, I'm reading at verse 6. In this you greatly rejoice. Is this a joy-filled woman? Look at her. In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may be proved genuine and may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed.
Yeah.
You say your mission now is yada, 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 not yada, yada, yada.
It's not the Seinfeld yada, yada, yada. It's yada, yada, yada. Yada is Hebrew for knowledge. And da'at Elohim is the knowledge of the Lord. It's getting to know the Lord. How do we do that? Through daily prayer, through daily Bible reading, through Christian fellowship. Because we speak to God through our prayers and He speaks to us through His Word. And that's how you get that dialogue going. And that's how you discover how truly, completely, entirely trustworthy and reliable God really is. And what a faithful God and best friend and companion He is to us.
Tell us how very practically you are standing on the promises of God.
Okay. Well, not too long ago, I had the dining room and living room area of my house renovated, and we ripped up all the old gray carpeting and put down hardwood floors. But before the new hardwood floors went down, I invited all of my family and church and friends over to write their favorite scripture verse on the subflooring in thick black permanent marker. So they would write their verse and then their name and the date underneath, and the entire floor was covered from one end to the other with scripture. And then we put the hardwood floors down, and so now I can say that we are standing on the promises of God.
That's so wonderful.
It is. It's really neat.
And you point out a hardwood floor is very durable.
Yes.
And God has made you durable
Well,
through suffering.
Yeah, I mean, we're not much use to the Lord if we throw in the towel early, right? If we just give up and say, I can't do this anymore. He gives us the strength to be durable. And then he fulfills His promises to us and just carries us through each day and makes us durable.
Have you had connection with other 9/11 widows who maybe haven't found the strength to go on that you have found?
You know, I have some interaction, but not that much, not as much as you would think. I mean, some of them have moved forward. They are rebuilding their lives. They're getting involved in many different activities and programs. And yes, some of them have come to know the Lord, and for that I am grateful to see that. But unfortunately, Moira, I have to say there are some families who are still in a very dark place. They're still where they were 8 years ago, and they're harboring bitterness and anger and resentment, and they're angry. They're angry at the airlines, the government, the terrorists, and they're angry at God just like I was. And it's heartbreaking for me to see that, because I see in them where I could have been had I not made the very wise decision to invite Christ into my life.
I am sure you have people, because you're speaking to groups all the time. If you say out loud, in the face of this story, with this backdrop, God has never failed me. That's your statement.
Yes.
You must have women and men who wonder, first of all, if you're in your right mind. and secondly, how can you say that?
Well, I can tell you 8 years ago, I never would have believed it either. And 8 years ago, I never would have believed anything good could ever come out of 9/11. I never would have believed I'd be functional again or that I even smile again. So I can understand why people would not understand that statement. But yes, God is faithful and He has never failed me. It may appear as if God fails us. You know, it might appear as if God took the day off while commercial jets are being used as bombs to kill thousands of innocent people, or when hurricanes or tornadoes or earthquakes level entire cities. It might appear as if He doesn't care when we're diagnosed with cancer or when we lose our job or our entire life savings in the stock market crash. But the truth is, God is faithful, and even in the worst possible circumstances, things are not always as they appear because God is working behind the scenes. He sees the big picture. We can't. We have to trust knowing Him, that He can bring beauty from ashes and blessings from brokenness. He can bring a tragedy, take a tragedy and turn it into a victory. He did it with His Son on the cross, and He can do it with every one of us. When we allow Him to work in our lives, He's able to do exceedingly abundantly more than we could ever ask or think or imagine.
Jennifer, I think we have time to quickly tell. This is very sweet and meaningful in a sense. You established a memorial. You talked about your dream. You and your husband wanted to go to Grand Cayman Islands and teach scuba diving. Tell us about the memorial to Jim.
You know, none of Jim's remains were ever found, so I wanted to do something very special for him. And we had some friends down that live in Grand Cayman, and what they did was they got together and they had a beautiful bronze memorial plaque placed underwater on a beautiful coral reef in Jim's memory. This is in Grand Cayman. And the Cayman government named the dive site after Jim. They named it Jim Sands Memorial Reef, and it's really the most special, incredible tribute to him. But that's the good news. The bad news is a few years ago, Grand Cayman took a direct hit from Hurricane Ivan. It was a Category 5 hurricane, and it hit on, of all days, September 11th, 2004. And the damage was catastrophic. Jim's memorial has not been seen since. So it boggles my mind. You know, on 9/11/2001, I lost Jim, and 3 years later to the day, I lost his memorial. Why was it destroyed? I don't know, Moira. I don't know. I may never know the answer to that question, but, you know, on the basis of what I do know about God, I can trust Him with the things that I don't know.
What a great statement. Thank you for being His sentimental treasure, Jennifer.
We all are.
You truly are, and for sharing all the treasures of this journey. Yes. You know, Heroes of the Faith have endorsed this book. What a delight to open it up and find Joni Eareckson right there on the first page. She says, Jennifer reminds us that finding the answers is not nearly as important as finding the answer. His name is Jesus. He's the one who's turned Jennifer Sands' tragedy into triumph. And He is using her, as Philip Yancey says, to lay down a path of hope for others who face the unthinkable. You're going to want to look for all three books: A Tempered Faith, A Teachable Faith, A Treasured Faith. And you can take the whole journey, through all the emotions, through all the interventions of God to change your thinking, to reignite hope. It's wonderful. I have to read the first two myself.
Okay, I'll make sure you get them.
And you've made it clear it really helps to have a friend who listens, someone to pray with you, someone to be that word of hope when nothing's going on here. That's very bright.
We all need someone who will be there as a prayer warrior and a prayer partner and someone to encourage us.